Hello. My name is Jeff Whelpley. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Swish, and I'm a Google developer expert.
And my name is Nathan Walker, co-founder of InStudio and a native script expert.
We are both so mind-blowingly excited to be here today talking about something that we are very, very passionate about, multi-platform development with Angular. Now, I know a lot of people in this room have built native apps for iOS or Android, and a growing number of you have started to build progressive web apps for the web. And I'm really, really happy to see that as one of the creators of Angular Universal, more and more people building server-side rendered apps. And the great thing about Angular is that you can build for each of these platforms individually pretty easily. The challenge comes when you try to build one app that targets all these platforms at the same time. It can be really difficult. And the primary reason for that is that each of these platforms has a unique set of superpowers that don't translate to the other platforms and provide for the best possible user experience on that specific platform. So for example, AMP is a specification from Google that allows you to build your website in a way that Google will cache your entire website and serve it instantly for mobile users.
Really good for SEO as well.
Yes, it is great for SEO. It gets you ranking much higher than without it. It doesn't work with any client-side JavaScript. It's only server-rendered content. Likewise, Service Worker works well on the web, but not on the server at all. And native APIs obviously need a native app or a plugin to work. So when you're building one app that targets all these platforms, you sort of have to make a choice. Either you ignore all of these superpowers and build some generic app that is essentially the least common denominator of all these platforms, which really isn't an option for any real-world app. Or you do something like this, where you put a bunch of if conditional statements, hacks, just get it working so that you have this one kind of mismatch of a code base. And I think, Nathan, we've both done this a number of times, right?
This is really nasty. We wouldn't recommend this to anyone, but we have done this.
Yes, just to get it working, right? But it's not great. And so Nathan and I set on a mission with this talk to put together our combined knowledge and come up with a better way to do this. And to reiterate sort of the challenge here, it's something where you have a product that you're trying to target multiple platforms. You want to use the superpowers in each of the target platforms, and you want it to be simple enough that you can grow the product over time and you can have a big team working on it without it being a crazy ball of mess that you kind of throw into the garbage and put on fire one day. So Nathan and I have been iterating on a number of ideas for this, trying out different prototypes, and the final solution we've come up with, I think we're both pretty happy with.
This has been a lot of fun.
So we're calling our solution Xplat, and it involves the following four things at kind of a high level, and I'm just going to mention them kind of briefly, and Nathan's going to go into them in more detail in a little bit. So first of all, it's built on top of Narwhal's NX Workspace, which allows you to build, yes.
Love it, love it, love it.
Which allows you to build multiple apps within one project in one monorepo. Second is that for the apps that you have in your workspace, it's really important that they're as thin and small as possible, that they're targeted to one and only one platform, and ideally for one purpose. And then you have all of your shared platform-agnostic code within libs, so that's stuff that can run on any platform. But then you'll have a number of, or a certain amount of shared code that is platform-specific. So for example, you might have 3 different native script apps, and you have a set of plugins that you want to share among all of your native script apps. So there's an Xplat directory where you put all of the platform-specific shared code. And this is it. This is a relatively simple idea, but it took us a little while to get here.
Part of the point of Xplat is to be unobtrusive to NX. We really love the core value of NX, the extensibility of it. So we really wanted to add something that lets you extend it, that you could also easily detach later. It's really a primary goal.
Yep, definitely. And we built a lot of sample code using this type of setup. But you know, at one point I told Nathan, we got to do more than this. Like, we got to build something really big, a real-world application, a real-world product, so that we can really demonstrate the awesome power of what we've kind of conceived here.
This is when a big light bulb went off. Believe it or not, an Angular community member among us, amazing artist, John Niedzwiecki, is a sketch artist, and back in the fall, I came across all these cool sketches that he'd done from Orlando Angular Mix. And he's right now sketching all the talks. He's been sketching every single talk that's gone on today. And, you know, we wanted to do something with this. Back in the fall, I said, John, you know, this would be really neat to do something in the future. I didn't know what it would be, but that time came. And so all of you may have done things like these, obviously back in high school, maybe a little bit, grade school. They're just a fun way to give a light perspective. Also can be really useful. Different perspectives from different peoples in a very artistic way. So this is an example from Andy McNally, a kind of infamous sketch artist, does sketch art for WWDC, for Apple. And so we put together this platform. We built this entire service. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to build an iPad app specifically designed for the Apple Pen for artists to be able to use on an iPad specifically. This would be the primary artistic vehicle that would deliver the art to Android and iOS app and a PWA. And so you could consume it on the device that you use all the time. The platform we're calling Sketchpoints, and Angular was the tool to deliver all of these pieces.
Now, we didn't just write code. I mean, we thought of this as an actual product, as if it was like a real company. So, I mean, we went all out. We made a promo video. Thank you.
Let's get down to business.
Yes.
So let's look at the architecture that we really wanted to kind of get into the details with. So libs, as we mentioned, NX, you can develop any way with libs that you want to. When doing multi-platform development in particular, it's really nice, we found out, to keep the libs platform agnostic. So what we came up with is, in our situation in this particular application, 5 ideal sets and barrels that we could share from across all these platform targets. API for our API services, core for low-level services, features, which is all of our tags, details, gatherings, and events, SAS for shared style and themes across all of them, and just simple utilities.
So in your apps, you're actually importing from, for example, at sketchpoints/API, but that's just pointing to a local file here in libs.
So as Jeff mentioned, we have introduced Xplat. Xplat is an additive folder to NX for platform-specific functionality. So this is intended to be infinitely scalable for all sorts of platforms. SSR, for instance, Electron. This houses the platform-specific implementation. So native script components can go here, TNS core modules. You can use all of that. You can code right against Objective-C, Swift, and Java, and Kotlin right inside of this folder. The web is specifically for DOM decorated components. So this is obviously for the web. This is a look at the app target. So we can see on the right-hand side of the screen, this is in the viewer app. This is an iOS app that lets people watch these sketches. You can actually download and check them out now. On the left is the PWA. So this is a PWA providing the same functionality, so you don't even need to download an app. You can just consume it right in the browser. And this is, of course, sharing the same functionality. This is another look. This is the Artist app. This is actually a completely different native app. This is deployed as SP Artist on the store, and it provides the exact same routes, same configuration and everything, but we allow the routes to be configured on a per-app basis, so we can actually insert in a custom view for the artist, which takes in a custom drawing plugin to make this work. And then on the left is actually SSR Universal.
Yeah, and actually this was something Igor had earlier today, that sort of line graph of the level of like work you want to put into your SSR app and SEO and all that type of stuff. This is like as far up and to the left as you could have possibly go. So we actually put this out there like a couple weeks ago. It's already outranking most of the other sites for any keyword searches for most of these talks. If you search for any talk here, you're going to see our Sketchpoint site in the top 1 to 3 of ranking.
So hopefully all the speakers get some nice artwork along with their talks as well for forever. Let's talk about some of the advantages of this type of architecture. On the left, we have a search feature that I built originally on iOS only. It doesn't matter exactly where you start building a feature. That's the point and the advantage to the architecture. Chances are, if you build it in one place, you can share it everywhere. So this search feature that is just drilling down the events, we want this on the PWA as well. So if we look at the code behind the search feature in NativeScript, for instance, we have a search bar, but we'll see something interesting. The code is just Angular and RxJS. So we have a component identifier, and we have RxJS bindings. If you'll notice on the left-hand side of the screen, this is in Xplat NativeScript. So of course, we can use this particular component across the Artist app and the Viewer app. If we look a little further in the actual component file, we'll see that this is derived from a singular base component class. This base component class happens to be used also by the PWA. What we can do is we can look at all of the platform agnostic code, and there's a lot here. All we have is RxJS, and we have a pipe that's wiring up that search to basically do our search filter on the list. So we can take all that code out, and we can drop it down a level in this Xplat architecture. So we're in Xplat NativeScript. We're going to drop it down into libs features, down into the base component. You can see all the green code moves down. So now we've already completed this feature for the PWA. All we have to do is just wire it to an input control on the PWA.
And this is how you achieve what I was talking about earlier of having each of your apps be very thin. They really just contain the view, your HTML, and some wiring of the data, and all of your NGRX and state logic and everything is in libs, is in the common logic.
So you can see here now the PWA search feature works just the same, and it only took a matter of minutes. In fact, it's funny, when I first did that feature, I think when we first showed a little bit off to Frosty and Joe, they were like, you really need to be able to search on there. I was like, well, we already did the search feature on iOS, so we just dropped it down, and it was done for the PWA. There is a little bit of configuration to make all this work in a joyous fashion in NX. So we wanted to make this a lot easier for folks to try out on their own and give all this a spin. So you can install the InStudio schematics. This provides all the Xplat tools in an NX workspace. Again, it's meant to be unobstructed. So it really does not override anything that NX provides at all. NX works as is. It provides this one important generator. This is the Xplat generator. It will generate a structure that you can immediately build a multi-platform setup up with, like right out of the box. So this will have a lot of best practices that we've learned over the years, certainly all the best practices we learned in building this entire application baked in. It provides a NativeScript generator. So this is a generator for NX, for NativeScript. Several folks have asked me over the past couple months about a generator. There's been a template available for a while, so this provides a generator right out of the box inside of NX specifically. As mentioned, NX generators work as is, so this is the app generator for a standard web app. However, we will enhance it to take advantage of the full setup in Xplat. So it will be taking advantage of shared routes in the components and all the shared services. One of the biggest problems we've run into, I think Jeff and I both, we adamantly agree on this, when you start doing multi-platform development on large teams is clarity and focus is a big problem. Developers can really get confused when they see a platform they're not familiar with. So we really wanted to try to build something into this that would help improve that focus and clarity. So with the Xplat tools, you get this simple generator. No magic here. This is just actually modifying the workspace to drill down the platform just so you can focus on whatever you want to work on. So if you're in web mode and you want to work on the PWA, or you have a team of specialists who are specific for PWA and web, you can have them drill the workspace down, just work on the web features. Likewise, you can also have native script specialists who are working on Android and iOS counterparts. They can drill the workspace down and work on just those elements. We also created a fun little tool with Electron. This is actually an automatically generated Electron app that is built off of the Xplat NX workspace, and it will automatically fill up with the apps that you've created, and you can toggle between the different developer modes. There's a lot more to be done with this. We're really just having fun with this and would love to hear some feedback on it.
And this seems pretty simple, but all it's doing is showing and hiding folders. But like Nathan was saying, when you're doing multi-platform development, it's really hard as a developer to keep in your mind at the same time all of the little intricacies of each platform and considerations and everything like that. So just this simple feature of just kind of like showing and hiding files so that you can kind of focus is extremely beneficial. We've been using this at Swish, and it's definitely led to a lot more productivity and feeling just like that more in control of your application.
This is also kind of a precursor to Electron support in Xplat. So I've loved Electron for years, and I'd love to build Electron support directly in Xplat. So this kind of provides a path forward.
So as you can see, we built a lot of stuff for this talk, right? And we haven't even gotten into a lot of the other details of sketchpoints. We built a full stack app here, and we have probably enough material for like 4 or 5 hour-long talks. But since we only have 20 minutes here, we have published a snapshot of all the sketchpoints code so that after this talk, you can go and get into the details and see exactly how we're wiring up all of this stuff.
This is a pared down snapshot. By the way, Sketchpoints has ability to donate and actually buy badges that you can give to sketch artists. So if you like the art that you see, you can purchase these coins to redeem for badges to give to these artists. All the purchases that are done during ng-conf is going to be given to Women Who Code. So we'd love to see some of that. But you can become an artist yourself as well, but we did want to control the quality, so it's 99 cents to unlock a channel. Again, those proceeds go to Women Who Code.
And if you want to get started on your own project, you can go to instudio.io/xplat. And we have a lot of people to thank. I mean, it wasn't just Nathan and I. We had a lot of help for working on this project.
James Spivey, huge, thank you.
Tim did the design for the server rendered app, so definitely thanks to everyone here. And I want to personally thank Nathan. You know, we had this crazy idea months ago, and it was amazing working with him on this project to seeing all of the amazing stuff that you built.
He said we had this crazy idea. It was all his idea. But no, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. Actually, I almost forgot. So, Xplat and sketchpoints, in my mind, is the culmination of so much work within the Angular community. And it's something where I don't think we could have done this a year ago, right? There's so much innovation that's going on here, so much hard work within the Angular core team, by all of you. And sketchpoints is sort of a reflection of the power of Angular. And so I think there's an opportunity here to do something really special. We posted sketchpoints on Product Hunt this morning. And I know that a lot of you probably don't even know what Product Hunt is. But you have to trust me that if you can get a product to hit #1 on the daily trending list, it's a really, really big deal. Now, Currently, we need about 500 votes to get number one. There are 1,500 people in this room. There are thousands of people watching on the live stream.
I see some of you with your phones. Thank you very much. This would be cool. This is really to put an Angular product built solely with Angular up to the top of Product Hunt's list. It'd be pretty cool.
Definitely. Let's work together. Get this to be number one and show the rest of the world the power of Angular and the power of the Angular community. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.